I started commenting almost a year ago in this sub, but haven't shared my whole story. I was with my ex for nearly 20 years. RIP 2007 to 2025. We met as teenagers going to watch local bands in our city. He was in one. I had too much anxiety to join a band at that age, after growing up with a cheating father and becoming my mom's counselor from a young age. My family had moved from a very small, very far away place the year before I met my ex. I would go to his house with mutual friends and watch the rehearsals, but ex and I never spoke. We both had perceived inadequacies that made it hard for us to trust that the other person could be interested, and he had a very jealous ex-girlfriend that was always creating a force field around him. Ex and I ended up at the same university. We started talking finally, years after we met, and quickly became the best of friends. We were both in other relationships at the time, which would end in cheating. My boyfriend at the time left me and tried to return, hard pass. Ex's girlfriend left him, pregnant with another man's baby. We comforted each other, traveled together, and after a wild New Year's Eve, fell into each other's arms, in love. His high school ex was still in the picture, and he hadn't told her about us. One night, she kissed him at a party. He drove us and a few other friends home, and dropped me off first. Looking back, that was a crossroads for me, where he could put the feelings of his ex before mine. I should have seen the signs, but I loved him deeply and trusted him. I was upset, but he told her the truth about us, and our relationship grew. We started playing music together and joined various bands in our city, and traveled a lot. It was a storied connection. We made it through some intense health problems my ex had, and I helped him rebuild his health through nutrition and mindfulness. He had some issues, however. He would drink too much at times. Could be careless with money, lending it to the wrong people. We would fight over things that I could see coming from a mile away, that he was trusting the wrong people too much. We had so much going for us though, that I overlooked these tendencies, to my own future detriment. 5 years into our relationship, after a lot of talk of becoming parents, up until him, with my familial background and parental relationship, I had no desire to become a mother, even though it had been a dream as a child, to have a family. I became pregnant. We had just turned 27 and our music careers were expanding rapidly, having joined a very popular local band. It was another crossroads, and I knew I wanted this baby more than anything, more than musical success. He, however, despite all of our previous conversations, was reticent. I chalked it up to normal nerves. We were still playing a lot of music throughout the pregnancy, and working long hours on film sets and teaching music. I worked up until the day before I went into labor, and a week before I was due, he stayed overnight at a big film event out of town. I was gutted. I knew we were trying hard to prepare for our child, but he left me alone, engulfed in overwhelming fear and trepidation. I was frightened of birth, had never experienced it before. My first labor was extremely long, but we had a healthy daughter. Ex was a good dad for the most part, but could become overwhelmed. That was hard, and looking back, he was dealing with deep depression from lingering effects of his illness, the way his pregnant ex had left him, and his own demons. We flourished for years, but he would periodically become extremely sullen. He continued to tour with different bands while I cared for our girl. He had proposed while I was pregnant, and we started to plan when our daughter was 1. We decided, since our families were spread out across the country, to get married out of the country. My parents changed the plan after the announcement and said they would no longer attend. It was a big surprise, and ex took it personally, having never felt like he measured up to my strict father's standards. A few years before this time, my mom had HPV that turned into cancer from my dad's cheating, and I was her caregiver. Ex knew that infidelity had led to my mom's cancer. I talked about changing the wedding plans, to make it easier on my parents, but ex wouldn't have it. He didn't want to get married that year anymore. We decided instead to have planned second child then. I was overjoyed, everything went smoothly, we were still playing a lot of music, our own now, and we had a second baby girl. Not long after, however, ex's health took a nosedive. He became extremely ill, often incapacitated. He had been so much healthier that it was shocking to see such a change. I was often parenting alone. We gave up music entirely and worked on getting him a diagnosis. It took years to figure out what was wrong. So many specialists. So many horrible days and nights of watching the man I loved in anguish. I would stay up all night and care for him, sleep for 2 hours, then care for the children. He went on medical leave and needed constant care, so we burned through our savings. I just wanted him well. Finally, before COVID, after a lengthy hospitalization and a diagnosis, we had answers. I won't disclose his health condition as it is a rare condition and it's confidential, but it is vicious, and stress is by far the worst for it. After COVID, multiple friends, including 2 members of the very popular local band we had played in, passed away. Then, I was pregnant again. This time, I was worried. COVID had revealed so much uncertainty in society. My ex had intermittent health problems still, and I was homeschooling part-time in a special program. I had really wanted a 3rd child before all of this, however, so we went ahead. The wedding didn't feel like it mattered anymore, and when we went to get married at a courthouse, it was closed due to COVID, so we focused on our baby. Ex was getting sick again, though. I was pregnant and caring for him. I was exhausted, and after our 3rd child was born and ex snapped at me one day, I set my heart. I was going to figure out what was wrong with him. I was sick after the pregnancy, would not stop bleeding. Had many ultrasounds but no answers. I felt like I knew why, however. My body was recoiling from something, and it was my ex. I confronted him calmly one night, not long after one of our friends' funerals. I told him it was time to tell me the truth of my life, and his. Had he cheated on me? He shook, disappeared, and came back to tell me that yes, he had cheated. Before we were parents, at a party when I slept upstairs, with my cousin's cousin. Not blood, but still. Blood of my blood. I rebuked his gestures of affection and told him he had 10 minutes to pack and leave or I would start screaming. Our baby was 2 months old. My heart was shattered. He left, and I called his mom and told her that he would arrive soon, and that he had confessed to cheating. She said that maybe he had cheated because he wasn't sure how he felt about me back then, and that had opened his eyes. To me, those words left an imprint. I never had to be with someone else to know how I felt about him. I was sure I would leave him then, told a couple friends so I wouldn't betray myself and take him back. He was gone for a week and I went to the mountains with the children. My bleeding miraculously stopped. Ex came back to help with my overwhelming workload and swore on our children's lives that was the extent of his cheating. Even though I could not stomach the cheating, I tried to reconcile. Ex got STD tested, began counseling and cut off all contact with my cousin's cousin through an angry text. We traveled and I got extremely sick again. I dreamed the bleeding returned, and it did, only this time, it was rivers of blood. It was a crime scene in the bed we shared, and I called home frantically looking for help. I was told emergency surgery was the only option. That was the last thing I wanted. I sat with my baby and willed my body to recover so we could fly home. I got a miracle, we returned, but then I hemorrhaged again for days at home. My body knew it was in danger. Living a lie, with a cheating liar. I had to see multiple specialists to get answers and managed to avoid the surgery. My worries plagued me, though. I would ask my ex every day if there was more, and he would swear there wasn't, but my gut knew. I could not sleep properly, would dream of him with other people. I kept asking. Finally, I tricked him and said that I had spoken to my cousin's cousin and she had told me there was more. He crumbled and confessed. To say I was the angriest I have been in my life is an understatement. To be put through the postpartum hellscape I had endured, all while he watched me suffer and literally bleed out and continue to lie. I could not fathom the depths of treachery. I destroyed pictures of us, cards he had written, a gift I had gotten him that meant the world to him. None of it mattered compared to what he had stolen from me. My life, my youth, my ability to have children with someone who loved me. The dam had burst, and I was able to get confirmation of my suspicions. After our first daughter was born, the year we had planned our wedding, he had been cheating with different people the entire time. 12 years of cheating, 6 different women, all confirmed in his own handwriting. I thought about a polygraph, but I didn't care anymore. I knew who he was. We went on one more family trip we had planned months before. Our swan song. It was bittersweet, knowing that this family, who still had so much love, was breaking apart. When we returned, my aunt passed away. She was one of my best friends and my closest family member. Another death. I shut down. Stopped dreaming. Could hardly speak some days. So much therapy, so much exercise, so much reading, so much grief. I was slowly dying myself. I knew reconciliation could not work when I broke out in hives all over my body for 6 weeks this past spring. This past summer, I said we need to be truly done. I cannot live with someone, love someone who has done what my ex chose to do to me. To our children. Our families had different reactions. His dad still thinks we will get back together. His mom hardly talks to me. My parents support me wholeheartedly, and it is bringing healing to my own family to see this cycle of treachery and abuse be broken. My children are adjusting, but my eldest knows why her parents are separated. She read through notes on my phone, and we are working on therapy for her and family therapy. Leaving a relationship after so long, with multiple children, in the age of inflationships, is the opposite of easy. My ex lives with his parents for now, and I am in the house. When he stays here with the children, I stay with my sister. We have adjusted and are trying to co-parent peacefully. However, I still have fleeting moments of abject sorrow. I cannot believe this is my life, that I could try so hard and end up in this position, especially after my upbringing. Cheating was always something I told my ex I could not abide. Cheating is choosing destruction. I am going back to school to work with mental health. I am writing music again and focusing on living a life of integrity. Ex has owned why we broke up, and people knew anyhow, from when I first shared after his initial confession. People have been shocked and supportive. My life is now pointed firmly at the future, and I will not let the past continue to destroy me. Time is fleeting, and if I don't have forever, I want to spend my time with people who actually love and respect me, not just pretend to. My family is broken, but I refuse to let my ex's infidelity continue to break me.